Good morning, Read 180 students. Today is Friday, January 8th, 2021. And today we're going to be working on lesson 5.3 in workshop 5, Contagion. So you're going to need your real book, and we're going to be working on pages 244 and 245. The learning target will be, we're going to be reading a magazine article called Silent Killer. And so our goal and our target today will be to identify the key issue of a magazine article. And just a reminder, I will not be Zooming next Monday, January 11th or Tuesday, January 12th. You will find the screencast lessons in the Workshop 5 folder in Schoology. So if you go to Workshop 5, open up the folder, you'll see screencast videos, and you will find it for each of those days. And then the information you will need will be found there, so you will know what the assignment is. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So if you could turn to page 244 to start with. We will be looking quickly at this and previewing this picture. So I want you to take a peek at it as we go through some of the preview and background information. So if you look on page 244, the Spanish flu was one of the worst diseases in history. As we read the magazine article Silent Killer right now, we'll examine the central idea or the main idea the author shares about this deadly disease. And so when we look at it, what really happened when this deadly disease went global? The text or this article will examine the flu crisis of the early 1900s that killed millions of people around the world. Now, from our anchor video, we learned about a global outbreak or epidemic of a disease called SARS. So if you were asked, has anything like this happened before? We're going to find out from this article really what has happened in the past when you're looking at a health crisis or a global outbreak. So the next few slides you're going to see, we're going to be completing page 244, academic vocabulary. So please turn to that page to complete the vocabulary section. And as we go through this, remember, anytime you need to, you can pause the video so you can record your information or record or write your sentences, and then, but for the sake of recording and time, I'm going to keep moving with my slides. All right, our first word is spread. And I can use the word spread in a sentence such as, today social media or today the internet helps to spread information faster. And so to spread means to move and affect a larger area. So in that sentence I just read, so when I say that information gets out to a larger group of people more quickly than in the past, I'm saying that the information spreads. Now, the question you have that you will be answering is, how does school news spread to all students in your school? So thinking about what resources or what tools are used to get that information out to a lot of the people in the school district at the same time, or into all to the students in the school at the same time. So important news spreads to all students because of what? And there I'm thinking of what kind of tool, what means are they getting the information out to all the students at the same time? Excuse me. Our next word is avoid. So I might use this sentence. A person walking home may avoid roads that do not have sidewalks. So to avoid means to stay away from a person or thing. So when I said that a walker, a person, or a pedestrian may avoid roads that don't have sidewalks, I'm saying that this person is staying away from the roads because they're not dangerous. They feel unsafe walking on them. So they stay away from those roads and they only go on the places where there are sidewalks where they can walk safely. So the example you're going to answer is, what is one way you can avoid being late to school? So I can avoid being late to school by doing what? All right, so now we are ready to go ahead and read our first read of Silent Killer. So right now I will read aloud, and I would like you to follow along in your book. So we're going to read together to find out the details that explain what happened when the Spanish flu of 1918 and 1919 spread out of control. We're going to read to see if we can figure out why this flu was considered a crisis. All right, so we're going to start Silent Killer by Alexandra Hanson Harding. The newspaper told a sad story. In April 1919, Grace Keeney died from the flu. Keeney had lived in New York. She was 40 years old. She left a family of 8 children. The youngest was just 2 years old. Keeney was one of many who died from the flu of 1918 and 1919. Between 20 and 100 million people died during the health crisis. Now you can see the footnote on this page in that tan box. The word crisis in bold tells us that means it's a situation of great difficulty or danger. Paragraph 3. No one knows exactly when this disease began. By February 1918, hundreds were sick in Spain. People called it Spanish flu. The symptoms of the flu were awful. Patients had bad headaches. They had high fevers. Their faces turned blue and their feet turned black. This was due to lack of oxygen. Liquid filled patients' lungs. It made breathing difficult. The results were fatal. Soon flu spread across Europe. Then this global illness came to the United States. It hit major U.S. cities. People feared getting sick. They avoided public places. Cities posted warnings. One warning stated that no person shall appear in public without wearing a mask. Flu spread to other parts of the world. Finally, in the summer of 1918, the spread of the infection slowed down. People hoped the flu had ended, but they were terribly wrong. The disease would soon be back. And again, you see at the bottom of this page, when we talked about fatal, the results were often fatal. That means that they caused death or led to a person's death. And of course, the flu is just short for influenza. And some symptoms of that illness, it would cause fever, aches, and coughing. And some of us have experienced the flu firsthand. Now, as we were reading this, I know because of what we're experiencing today with COVID-19, we can really make some strong connections, especially if you look at paragraph 5, where people can't go out into public without wearing masks. We're living that right now. And so, again, I think you can have a little bit more maybe empathy or compassion and understanding of really how bad this epidemic or this global crisis was. All right, so your job, as we read, we found some information. We were told some information in the article about some of the symptoms and what was happening or some of the results of this Spanish flu. So based on that, specifically probably in paragraph 2, paragraph 4, paragraph 5, those paragraphs would have some information, so you can answer the key idea on page 245. Why was the flu of 1918-1919 called a crisis? And remember, we said the word crisis is where there's a situation where it's great danger to people. It's of great danger, and it's of danger to their health. Okay, now we're going to go and do a second read, but the only part we're going to reread is going to be paragraph 4. And so when we read paragraph 4, I'm going to ask you to underline details that you pick out that describe the symptoms of the flu. This is going to help you answer the question in the section that's called Identify Central Idea and Details. So there again, they want you to underline at least 3 lines from the text. You can underline more if you want. And then you're going to answer this question. What happened to people who were infected with the flu? All right, so I'm going to reread paragraph 4, and I'd like you to follow along and underline as I read. The symptoms of the flu were awful. Patients had bad headaches. They had high fevers. Their faces turned blue and their feet turned black. This was due to lack of oxygen. Liquid filled patients' lungs. It made breathing difficult. The results were often fatal. All right, so go ahead and pause this recording. I'm just going to read one little piece of information here to maybe help you understand. The details that we underline should help you understand more what the Spanish flu was and how it affected the people. So reading those specific example of those symptoms hopefully helped you to be able to answer this question. What happened to the people who were infected with the Spanish flu? All right, so again, pause the recording. I'm just going to move on though to do the next slide. All right, now the last thing you're going to do on these pages is we're going to talk about when you are presented with a word that maybe you don't know, or you can read certain parts. Remember, you've been taught to break the word into syllables to make it easier to read. So we're going to practice with this word, and there's 3 things that we're going to go through together, and then you're going to be able to practice the next 4 on your own. But you can break a word into syllables by doing these 3 things. So first of all, you can spot the vowels. Now a vowel is A, E, I, O, or U. Now in this word, I see a vowel U and I see the vowel A. You can underline, I want you to underline those vowels. This means this word has 2 vowel spots, so we know it's going to have 2 syllables. All right, so now when you're asked to break the word into parts, what is the best way to do that? Step number 2, splitting the word into syllables. Now, if you look, remember a consonant is any letter that's not a vowel, A, E, I, O, or U. Now, if a word has 1 consonant in the middle, so you'll see there's 1 consonant M between our 2 vowels, try splitting the word before the consonant. All right, so when syllables that end with a vowel, like this one does, it's called an open syllable, and that first syllable then will have a long sound. So if I put that slash or that split between those, I know I can read each syllable. Hue, man, human. All right. So again, knowing where to put the split in or to split up the word into syllables, you're going to practice those next. Now your job is to do the next 4 on your own. Remember, looking at these directions to help determine where to split the word into syllables. It helps if you circle the vowel spots in each word, and then you're going to draw the line based on those skills or those the directions that we just went through. All right. So once you do that, I'm going to have you take a picture of pages 244 and 245 and submit it to Schoology. You will find this assignment in the Workshop 5 folder, the assignment folder. All right, the last thing then, the last slide is your reminder of your tasks for today. Remember, it's the end of the week, so of course, we always do our daily check-in. Keep doing that even if you are joining Zoom or if you're just watching the videos here. Bell work, you should have 5 for this week submitted, and you will see that is in the Bell work folder in Schoology. And then under the Workshop 5 folder under the assignments, that's where you will see, it'll say Lesson 5.3. And remember, I will be looking at your software report at the end of the day to see that you have 20 minutes each day, which would mean you should have logged at least 100 minutes of software, and you will be graded based on the number of minutes you accumulated, and then reading and submitting your reading log. And again, please read the directions to make sure everything that you have for the best possible grade on that. And again, late works, you got to get it wrapped up. Your days are probably less than a week now. And so again, if you have not reached out to me, please do so. All right, work hard. Thanks for watching the video and getting things done. And I hope you have a great weekend.